Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the struggle bus where every wheel is an empty triangle. On today's bus ride, we're playing against a 9K on OGS. And this game, unlike our last few, this one's a little more tame. It's a much more passive game where each player is just kind of staking out their claim, both playing by the rules pretty well and going after the corners and the sides and then the center. And so in these types of games, playing the nice efficient moves tend to be what gets you ahead. Of course, just like with every game of Go, a fight does break out, so there are some interesting bits in this one. So I hope you guys enjoy the game. Of interesting note for this video is our friend today is somebody who I've helped in the past, and I just randomly stumbled upon him for today's game. So that is always fun. As per always, I'd like to thank my opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting these videos. With that said, let's get to the game. Okay, let's go. We are white against a 9K on OGS, and I recognize his name. I think I've actually helped him before, so this is extra fun. So he's doing 3-4 and closing. We're just going to approach the 4 from this side. I like splitting up any potential moyos that could form, but this is just a stylistic thing. We could have extended our corner, done a 3-3, going from that side is fine. He kicks, so we are going to extend. Again, as per always, we're going to be following the rules. We're going to be caring about the corners, then the sides, then the center. I'm going to play low here because he's got some strength over here. So we're just going to try to get a more firm base. Okay, and so he's going to approach on the top side, and we are just going to connect under, or attach rather. He'll Hane, we will come back. He'll most likely connect, and we will jump, and he will jump to here most likely. But he also played low, which is fine, right? Because we've got this stone over here, and so that is okay. We have one more corner that's kind of, untouched at this point, so we're going to extend off of that. And so now all the corners are mostly spoken for, so we're going to be looking at some side moves over here, up here, over here. This is a little far away from this, so I'm not too concerned. And so over here, we could look at this approach, but there's still a lot of stuff with C3 right here, with C5. And so approaching from this side kind of ruins that. So I think I'm just going to approach over here. We do want to respect his strength a little bit though, so we're going to come and play 2 spaces away as opposed to 1 space. And so he then does go and fix this, but I'm not sure that fixes the 3-3. This will probably be here for a long while. So on this board, we can kind of look at this right side because there's some good potential here if we play a nice fourth line move here. But we also have to respect this got stronger, and so now this is a little weaker with this over here. So I'm actually just going to take this extension right here to put a little more pressure on this group, which is still fine. This group isn't in trouble, but this also gets us a little more strength on one of our weaker groups on the board. And now he's going after this stone. But these 2 stones are going to be weaker as this gets chased out. So now I'm kind of glad that we played N3 because any fight that happens over here, if it bleeds into this direction, at least we've got a little more strength. We could start with a nice sneaky move like Q4 to force him to connect, and then we could play on the outside and get some strength that way. But I'm just going to keep it real simple. I'm just going to jump out here. And this is going to get some strength here, which will force him to do something like this. And now that these 2 stones are kind of surrounded on either side, similar to this, we're going to get some strength here, and we're going to play Q18 to help secure the corner. So a somewhat passive game so far. We'll see if we can make it a little more interesting for you guys. So he is going to jump out, and we're gonna play an interesting little move here. We're going to play Q10. This is a kind of a probing move, which is something I haven't gone over before. This is kind of a move where it just asks your opponent, what does he want to do? And he says he'd rather block here than block this side, and that's fine. But what makes a probing move is we're actually just going to leave this stone now. And we'll come back to it later in case this becomes relevant. But since we've got some weaknesses on this group now, we're gonna try to make it a little stronger over here. So we're going to play this kind of classic approach to these two stones. It's probably a little different with these stones here, but this threatens to press on either side. And he's looking to run out. And that's fine. This group has a lot of room to come out. And so I'm just going to play this here, give us a little more strength. So again, we don't want to have to worry about this group with any fight that's going to happen here. So now we really only have to worry about these three stones, and it's pretty easy for them to get out. And we still have Q4 into R5, which I will likely play before we jump out. Okay, so he's looking to break this up now. And this stone right here we can keep light. I think this is a much more important stone. So we're going to connect here, and when he pushes through here, that is fine. So there's still a lot of agi with this stone. We're just going to jump out here. Takes a little bit of reading, but the wedge isn't going to work for him. And so this is a little faster than just extending. If you couldn't read that this jump is fine, then extending is okay here, just as long as we get out. While we're doing this, while we end up getting strength here, this group's going to get a little weaker, right? And so this stone isn't really doing anything right now, but his group isn't quite alive yet. Okay, so we will just attach here, and so we've got this kind of stick going to nowhere, but it's strong, and it's facing this group. So again, if we're able to run out this stone, his group here is going to be under a bit of an attack itself. Okay, so he's playing over here, and honestly, I was looking at N6 anyway because it's a good move in its own right, because it threatens to connect up. So I'm going to play this to make it so this stone can't run back to his friends over here. Really, the only place it can go is over here. I'm sure he's looking at an invasion here, but we're a little too strong on this side now. I don't think that'll quite work. And so then we can pressure this stone. I assume he's going to play something like N5 or O5, at which point I'm probably going to play H4 to secure this bottom side and to also put pressure on this stone. And so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to play this little move here, again, just to reinforce this a little bit, and also put pressure on the stone. If I'm black, I'm probably not doing anything with the stone right now. It's not in white's best interest to go and capture this stone. It's too hard to capture. So I don't think there's any rush for black to save this stone. I would be looking at still a big move on the side, something at C12, or doing something over here, addressing the fact that black's group isn't the strongest over there. Okay, but he is looking to run with this, and for now, this white group has got multiple directions because we can always connect up with this stone or run out here. I'm considering just running out to surround this group, but I'm wondering if we want to get strength with this stone first. And I think I do. I think I'm going to come out with this stone. And now that we've got this, R10 becomes a nice splitting move. It's possible we could have played R10 first, but then black kind of gets the first jump out. But he's going to be in a tricky spot now because this group isn't alive, and we're going to be able to harass it for a good while, I think. I'm looking at just surrounding it. That's usually the first thing you want to do when you're attacking a group is just surround it first. If black manages to live here, again, we're never looking to kill these stones. We're just looking to attack. So surrounding ensures that if they live, they'll be surrounded, and it'll be incentive for us. So I am going to play this, and he's going to cut here. So here, like I said, we had two directions. We could have connected, or we could jump out, and so we're going to jump out, which also naturally starts surrounding his group. Yes, he's got an escape here, But what's he really going to be getting out of that other than just kind of running stones in this direction? We'll also be running stones in that direction, but as we do that, we're going to be surrounding these 3 stones. And so we're going to have a target there. Again, I wouldn't have invested 2 more stones to this, because now if we manage to capture this, if we manage to surround, we're capturing a lot more stones here and getting many more points than if it was just the 1 stone. Similar to how we left P5. If we had tried saving this, it would have become too many points for us to sacrifice. But now, really, just looking at this, black got 5 points from here and obviously secured the corner, but we still have a move like S5 to reduce the corner. So looking at sacrificing this, it's just an additional 5 points. This is kind of a bold move. Black has a weak group here. Black has a weak group here. And I'm not sure the best way for him to deal with that. And so I think here I'm just going to play this move to fully surround him and see how he wants to live now. Now it might be tough for him to live. Remember, I said originally, our goal is not to kill stones like this on an attack. But if we're playing sensei moves, which I considered N9 to be, and our opponent ignores them, then we can look at threatening to kill. Again, I don't think black's going to die here, but he's not going to be living in sente. So we can look at connecting here to remove this as an eye, but then he can just play here and he's going to have 2 eyes. So I actually think we're just going to play this move here. And yes, he's going to get the capture, and he's going to get his eyes there. But we keep him low, and we build up strength in the center. And that'll help us more when we go after these stones later. This is a situation where I don't know how to attack these stones quite yet, and so I'm not going to. And if the game plays out in a way where I can figure out a good way to attack these stones, then we will do it that way. This is a really dangerous move, because him getting in here isn't going to get him life. And so if we take this, he's going to have to play here. And so we are going to take this because he has to play here now. If he comes in, we just descend and it all dies. And so now we kind of got this capture for free because we can still go and block this, which we are going to do. This is a little early to do this, but we are going to do it. And then we need to protect ourselves here. And so we'll just connect. And he's going here. I think he was already alive. I think this was an eye, and this was an eye no matter what. So this doesn't do too much for him. And we've got bigger moves on the board. And so what I'm going to be looking at is I want to find a way. I want to find a way to attack these stones. And we've got an invasion point up here, and we've got some pressing moves over here. So I'm going to see if we can do something about getting some strength to then go after these stones. And I'm wondering if we can just do an invasion here. And I don't think we need to. I think we can just play a shoulder hit. I mentioned in my last video, there are times where if you don't know what to do, you can attach to a stone or you can shoulder hit. So we're going to shoulder hit here, which is going to keep him low. And it'll get us strength so that we can attack these stones a little more firmly. Okay, so he wants to jump out. This is him declaring war, and we will jump out as well. Because again, my whole goal here was to get strength to go after these stones. But if he wants to run out, we can always play J17, which separates this from this group, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to play this. It looks like he wants to attack our stones, but we're a little too strong nearby, and so I think he's going to have trouble. I think he's going to have trouble attacking these, and now we can look at separating these 3 stones and surrounding them. So he's going to try to connect underneath, but we can block, and then we can connect underneath. So he's going to play here, and we've got a couple options. They all start with G17, I think. The question now is, are we going to sacrifice these 2 stones to kill these 3? Or are we going to turn? But either way, we're going to start. We're going to start with this Atari. Okay, so here we're going to take this Atari, and then we will connect here. Although I think I did that in the wrong order, because he gets this Atari now. I wanted to get the push and then this Atari and connect. A slight misstep, but it's not too huge of a deal. So we are going to take this push now, though, because I did want it. And now he's going to have some trouble with this group living, and I think his natural direction to run is going to be out, but we're going to surround on the outside. As we get surround on the outside, we're going to be, again, getting strength against these 3 stones. It's kind of been the target the whole time. And so we need to make sure that we can get out ahead, because this group is a little weak. And so we're just going to jump out. Okay, so the wedge is an interesting move. I do like it. We can Atari and connect, and I think what he's looking to do, we're going to Atari, and he's going to play here to capture these 3 stones. But the Panuki is going to be real strong, and it's going to give us a lot of strength to go after that. So I'm fine with this exchange. I was actually going to mention that these 3 stones we can actually sacrifice. They aren't very important right now, as long as we assume that this group is going to live. Then him killing these 3 stones doesn't actually matter too much, because unless we're looking to actively kill this group or really, really, really attack it, these stones actually aren't doing too much. And so, yeah, if we play here, he's just going to escape out. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this Panuki, and he's got this snapback, which is fine. But we've got this Panuki now, which is quite strong. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm also going to play this to force him to capture. And so that's just going to be an exchange to get us a little more strength. And now that we've got some strength here and here and here, now I think it's time to go after these 3 stones. And so I'm going to play here to stop the easiest way for him to run out is in this direction. So we want to block that direction. And so now he's kind of challenged to either break out somehow or find a means of getting 2 eyes, and there's not a lot of room here. And so this is kind of an example of, like I said, I didn't know how to attack these stones, and so we just made some exchanges. And yeah, it looks like we had a big loss here, but we extended our corner. We got some strength here, and now we can pivot and go after these stones. And so we can look at Haneing on the inside. We can look at Haneing on the outside. And in a situation like this, if you are ever unsure of which one to do, Haneing on the outside. And here I can't tell exactly how this is going to work out for us. But Haneing on the inside gives you another liability once they cut it. Because here, this is a much easier read for us, because we can Atari this. So he's playing that way. So this isn't going to work for us now, and so I'm just going to capture. He's got a number of cuts that he has to worry about. We can push through here. We can start the ko if we really want to, if we think we're in a good position to start the ko. But either way, I think we'll be in an okay situation. So actually, what I think I'm going to do here is I am going to start the ko fight just to go over. I haven't done a good ko fight in one of these games, and honestly, I don't think this is necessarily a good ko fight for us, but it's one that I'm going to start. So I am going to play here and start the ko. And so here he's going to capture, and now after that is we are not allowed to retake. So the onus is on us to come up with a move that we think our opponent has to answer. And we will play that move, and our opponent will answer the move because we We're playing a move that he has to answer, and when he answers that, we can come back and capture the ko. So this is a slight misstep by him because this was a good ko threat, but now we get to just answer that, and now the ko has become much bigger because he's put that extra stone into it. So if he loses this ko, now one more stone is going to die. So that was kind of a double mistake. And here I am just going to fill the ko. So it looks like he wasn't willing to fight the ko fight, which I find interesting. So we are going to do this. I don't think he's going to be able to kill this group here, and I don't think running this way is going to help too much. He has a cut right here, which we can take immediately. So we are just going to take this cut. So I was hoping for a good fun ko fight, but doesn't look like we're going to get it. So this cut works because if he Ataris us down, we get to capture these 3 stones or connect, and so we will connect, or we will cut here. So some somewhat complicated fighting here. It's unfortunate that he backed off. I was hoping we were going to have a fun ko fight, but now he's fully surrounded. He's going to run out of liberties. And actually looking at this, it's possible that J10 would have given us trouble from a liberty standpoint. So we are just going to play here to go look to connect up here. Here is going to be pretty straightforward, though. We're going to connect, and we're simply going to have more liberties than the group in the middle here. So it looks like our attack was successful, that we were plotting for 20 moves or so, and now we get to see the benefit of this random exchange that we made earlier, because now we can Atari this stone, and yeah, he'll get the capture, but that gives us this stone to surround these 3, and he should have captured. Now we get to extend, and if he doesn't capture this, now we can extend and end up capturing those 2 stones. So now we get this in Sente. If he had captured at M14, this would not have been Sente. And now, do we need to answer this move? I don't think we have to, but I am going to. It's a safer move. It gets us a handful of points. So here we will connect. But he does have some pretty big corners. Both of these corners are quite large. This is a somewhat large area. This is pretty big. We do need to look at reducing this. But like I said, we still have C3. And let's go over this invasion. It's fairly complicated, but it's important to know that this is here for a long time. And I'm hoping he does the simple response on it, but I'm curious to see how he answers this move. It's a pretty tricky move to answer. I'm hoping he plays C4 because I think I can just show you a very simple good reduction. If he plays D3, it gets more complicated. And honestly, I'm probably not going to follow it up if he plays either of these 2 moves. Because it's a little complicated for this series. So you want to know what? I am just going to block. I was hoping he was going to play C4. If he plays C4 here, we have this nice follow-up, and black cannot do this because he ends up losing the stone. And so black needs to play here, and then here to kill the stone. But later in the game, maybe even right now, we can do this, and he captures, and we can do this, and his whole corner goes away. With this, which he played, it turns on some Agi over here. Either way, we're just going to play this endgame move. So I don't think we lost much on this, just to test him on the exchange. And so now we can kind of look at endgame stuff. We've got S6, that's a pretty large move. We've got O2, that's a pretty large move. And then something around D12 and B12. We're going to start with S6. I think that's the bigger of the moves on this board. And this is a clunky looking move, but it's somewhat sente, because if he lets me play this, it threatens to capture this stone, and it threatens to connect up, so he needs to block here. Ugly shape, but it's a reasonable move, I believe. And so, but he ignored it. He ignored it, so we are going to follow through. And he's gonna. I think he should protect this and let us get this stone. I actually won't even. I don't even think I'm going to connect to this stone. I think there are bigger moves on this board. So he does protect. We're going to play O2. It is another large move. It's somewhat sente for both of us. We both want this move because if he defends, we get to play the first line Hane, which is going to end in sente for us. And instead, if we had connected and he played here, he gets to play this, which ends in sente for him. So a pretty big difference. We will connect, and he will have to play here. At this point, I wonder if this is bigger than something over here. I do think that this is probably larger, and so I'll play this just to reduce this area. And he blocks, which is not surprising, and we will descend here. And I was just going to say, this is probably the next large area of the board, but we've got some good sente moves over here. So we're going to play this, and he'll block, and we'll connect. And what's nice about this is this gives us another. If he doesn't respond, then we've got another sente move. So while this itself isn't sente, though he did respond, our follow-up is sente. We can also look at this right now to further break this up. Right, this is the kind of the big area that he's trying to get. We can play this Hane because if he cuts, we just go and capture the stone. So we're going to take this Hane. And then we can keep on pushing. Again, he can't cut because we'll be able to just eat that stone, eat that yummy, yummy stone. And we'll just keep on pushing. And he blocks there. And we can push, but now it'll end in gote for us if we push there. So I think we just leave this for now and find the next big move. And I think the next big move is just threatening to push in here. So we're going to push in here. He blocks. We'll go and Atari the stone. We don't have to worry about liberties here because he can never take this cut because then he puts himself in Atari and we capture, and if he ever connects here, then we'll disconnect. So we've got some two second line moves over here and a push here, and we've kind of pretty much exhausted our end game at this point in time. So I think we're going to stop it here, and I will see you guys at the end of the game. Okay, so here we are at the end, and we won by 37 points because yeah, that middle was just too big. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at a review of this game and see where our opponent could have done a little better. Okay, let's do a quick review and see where our opponent could have played some stronger moves. Though honestly, he played well in the opening. This was a pretty passive game by both of us. Neither one of us really did anything to challenge the other player at the beginning of the game, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All of this is perfectly fine. I would take either color on this board, and that's still the same. This is a little slow. I think this is probably the first move where Black could have done something a little more forceful. If he wanted to approach a group, I think approaching down here would have been a little stronger. This group's a touch weaker, and this group is a touch weaker. Well, this group isn't really weak. But this group's weaker and it's easier to bully a little bit. So I think white would probably respond with something like this, and then maybe then black can do this and try to really develop this lower white right quadrant of the board. So this was just a little slow. If he wanted to approach this, he could have looked at either of these two. Those are both pretty common moves that can be done. He could have played a little closer. But more importantly, I think the left sides, I think both the left and the right side are bigger than the top or the bottom, though I would have strongly considered M3. But anyway, so he plays here, we approach, and he goes and takes this extension. There's nothing wrong with this. Neither of these are big mistakes. These are really small things. This is probably where the game actually starts, right? This is the first attack, and I can't fault him for this move. This is fine. I still think all of this is fine. Still think this is a perfectly even game. So he played really strong through the beginning, and then we played this little trick move. It's not a trick move. It's a tricky move, because we can immediately play this, and it can get tricky here though. And I don't think these two stones are strong enough to support this fight yet. And so I wasn't going to follow this up. I wanted to get some strength over here. And I don't like this move by me. I don't think this was a good move. I regretted playing it when I did. But we're getting into his moves, not mine. I think splitting here is a reasonable thing to do. As is this. Though if you're going to split, I think I would just keep on going and jump out. And we don't care about this cut as black, because we're on the offensive. So black could look at something like this, and all of a sudden I'm pretty sure those stones are dead. So when you have strength like this, you can play more aggressively and do these moves like this, because yes, white can cut, but white also gets cut here, and black gets the first move when you do it, and this is a real bad situation for white. So this, I think, was just a little off as well. I think if black was interested in pushing through, which he clearly was, I would have followed that up. So he peeps. I save what I think is the larger stone between P5 and R7, and I think this is, I don't know, this whole sequence, like I said, this is a fine recovery for black, but I think he really missed the initiative when he didn't follow up his 04 stone, and so now white is a little too strong. And then I think this is a little bit of an overplay. Like I said, pretty much immediately I was looking at attacking this stone. So here, taking the turn. If he does anything else, right? So say he plays and follows this up, then this becomes a little problematic for him, because we end up eating these stones. So he has to fix here, and then we fix the bottom. And this was where I'd said to leave this stone alone and do something bigger on this board. And I would probably play something over here. We could look at the knight's move, extension, doing something over here to make sure that this doesn't get in trouble. Because if we do start surrounding this group here, then maybe the cut becomes important. But now that he's played this, he's committed to this now. Now these stones are a little more heavy than they were before, and you can't really sacrifice them. And then we start our big fight of the game kind of here. He cuts and commits another stone to this, and so I think he should have left this for later in the game, because you don't really know if this cut's going to be helpful. You don't want to really take it right now, because it just adds another stone to the pot if I end up capturing that. And then this Tanuki I think was off. I think the focus of the game is absolutely on Group A, Group B, and then whatever's happening here for white. This is the focus of this game. If he had played something like this to really start making this the important area, now he starts developing this. Of course, playing this, you need to be confident that these stones are going to live, which isn't the easiest ask. They did end up living though, so maybe it is reasonable for black to live here just with this sequence. But if that's the case, I would have liked to have seen something like this. And if we played here, he could do the same sequence that he did in game. And I think this is just a much better placed stone than the random side stone over there. So after this, we just kind of start doing tactics. This is too early, and I don't like it because it doesn't expand his eye space. So when we take here, he now needs to come back, and it's just an exchange that didn't need to happen. But that's pretty small. And then then kind of the sneakiness started, and I think he handled this well enough. But this jump, I don't know. This kind of is asking a little too much. I think it is just simple to do this and kind of question white on, can you really make this stone do a lot of work? But again, playing on this side and then jumping to this side, he's kind of not committing to one plan or the other, and he ends up getting in trouble because of it. We're able to attach underneath, and like I said, when we played here, this wedge, it's a nice find. I do like this because it does kill these 3 stones. Unfortunately, these 3 stones aren't that important right now. This is one of those situations. This is a perfect example of stones that we are perfectly willing to sacrifice. It's only 6 points to save them. It does make this group alive, so you can't attack it anymore. But they are stones that can be sacrificed. And then after we get this Panuki, we're able to attack. And he does find a pretty good sequence with this. And I started the Ko, and I really would have liked to have seen him fight this Ko, because I think I don't know if it's good for white or black. I didn't read it. I just wanted to show you guys a good Ko fight. I would have played here first, and it probably black can play this, but then it kind of starts this Ko, and we're getting like this weird double Ko situation. But either way, if he takes, we get to play here, and now black can find a Ko threat. And I didn't look to see what kind of Ko threats black has on this board. But taking a look now, D16 is probably a pretty good Ko threat. I haven't read this out, but it's possible that if we do this, this becomes a problematic move. Because if white plays here, then we get this in Sente, and now we get this. But maybe that's an okay trade. This is a lot of points. This is a lot of points for black. But getting this in Sente is real nice. So it's very possible that when black plays here, white would answer, and then black gets to capture it again. But also possible that now this becomes a Ko threat, because if he fills and we do this, this group probably dies. So maybe black just does need to answer and we get to capture again. So it's a wild thing, right? Kos, they are fun. They are fun and interesting, and I love them. And I do wish that we had played it, but he gave up on the Ko pretty quickly. But again, I think in retrospect, I think this is a big mistake by white. I guess this isn't the mistake, but the cut probably is. I probably just needed to connect here and be done with it and know that black can't live in here. So this was probably a little greedy, because I do believe that this might be a problematic move. Again, I hadn't read it out, but this looks like the kind of situation where things might go awry on us, but maybe not, because we've got this Atari here. It's tricky, but I think it's worth at least doing the resistance and not doing this, and then just giving up. This unfortunately dies in Gote. He committed the sin of dying in Gote and allowing us to connect. And now the game is probably over here. But interesting stuff. So yeah, I think the big advice I'd have for our friend here is maybe tone up his aggression a little bit. Of course, that's tough in a situation where he knows he's playing against a stronger player. But certainly something I think he could work on. But either way, that's where we're going to leave this one for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's bus ride. Thank you for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.